So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's begin our session. So now we were discussing about auto scaling in AWS. Let's understand what is auto scaling, how we are going to configure the auto scaling. And the let's understand how we are going to configure auto scaling. So this is the dashboard. Okay, this is the dashboard, EC2 dashboard. Under EC2 dashboard only, we have auto scaling option. Okay. Suppose if we need to configure, if we want to configure this auto scaling, then you will find like auto scaling groups. Okay, this is the one we need to find out, auto scaling groups. Just go to the auto scaling groups and we need to click on create auto scaling group. We need to click on create auto scaling group. These are the steps that we have here. Okay, first we need to choose the launch template. Hope you understood what is auto scaling. Auto scaling is nothing but automatically increasing or decreasing. Automatically increasing or decreasing the instances whenever the load gets increases. Whenever the load increases or otherwise whenever the traffic increases, automatically it's add a new instance, and whenever the load decreases, it removes the instance. So that's how that's how the auto scaling works. The very first step you can see here, we need to choose a launch template. So we are going to give some name. Okay, let me give some name. Let me give some name to this auto scaling. I'm just providing the name of the auto scaling group as my auto scaling. I'm providing the name of this group as my auto scaling. So the very first step is like we need to select the launch template. Meaning of launch template. I don't have any launch templates for now. The meaning of launch template is, so whenever the load increases, what kind of instance it has to uh, like meaning, suppose if the load increases, it has to add instance, right? It has to add the instance. So whenever if it wants to add, if it add the instance, then definitely we need to mention the launch template. So how much CPU, how much memory, so what is the kind of instance that it has to launch, all these things we will be specifying under launch template. So let me show you. Once you see this launch template, you will understand what is the purpose of this launch template. So I'm just going inside the launch template. I'm going to create a new launch template. I'm creating a new launch template. And I'm just providing the name of the template as my template. I'm just providing the name of the template as my template. As of now, I will show you the dashboard. We are in the region of Virginia. I don't have any instances running. You see here, I don't have any instances running. Less than a minute ago, it updated. We don't have any instances running in Virginia. So I am going to a feature called auto scaling group. I am going to create a new auto scaling group. So for creating a new auto scaling group, I'm going with the first option called launch template. So I'm giving the name of the auto scaling group as my auto scaling. I'm coming down. It is asking for launch template. I'm going for choosing a launch template by just clicking on this link. Okay. So I'm going to create a launch template. So it is asking like to provide the launch template. I'm just providing the name of the template as my template. I'm just giving the names like this, my auto scaling, my template, like this. Okay. So it is asking for the description. We can provide the same thing as description also. Can you hear me? Showing like my internet connection is unstable. Okay. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Okay.
So my template, I'm just giving the name of the template as my template. Slowly coming down, it is asking to choose the OS image. So I'm going to choose some AMI. You know how to choose the AMI. I'm just selecting this AMI. You can select any of the AMI, but I'm selecting this particular AMI. I'm from the Amazon Linux. I'm going to the next option. It is asking to choose the instance type. For now, here I'm going to choose the instance type as T2.medium. Why? Because T2.medium will get 2 CPUs and 4 GB. So key pair, I'll be giving like this one. This is the key pair I use. Network settings, all these things you see, we did not created any, we didn't create any network settings, but it is asking in which subnet you would like to, okay, in which subnet you would like to create. Okay, we are not including this particular one. We are not including when we specify the subnet, usually all the network components will be added to your template. So for now, what I am doing is I am not going to add any of the subnet. Let me show you this. These are the, I'm just adding this particular subnet. Okay, for now, I am just adding. This is a subnet. Usually, right? So subnet is like, to understand the meaning of subnet, actually, we should understand VPC, virtual private cloud. Okay. To understand subnet, we need to understand VPC, virtual private cloud. For now, so anyhow, we didn't start at the network concept. Okay. Virtual private cloud is not yet started. That's the reason why. So I'm not going with any of the subnet here. I'm not going to choose any of the subnet. I'm not talking about subnet for now. You will understand slowly. Okay. Don't worry about the things. You will understand what is VPC, what is subnet, why we are choosing all these things. You will understand all these things. But for now, what I am doing is I am going to specify that I'm going to use this subnet. Okay. So I'm going to use this one. This is the subnet I have chosen. For now, I have chosen some subnet. Okay. Then I'm going forward. I'm selecting the security group. I'm going to create a new security group here. I'm going to create a new security group. Otherwise, we can select the existing security group. Suppose if I create a new security group, I need to provide the security group name. So the security group that I am going to add here is, I'm just adding like my security group. The name of the security group also I'm providing as my security group. It is asking to use this, it is asking to add the security group rules. For now, what I'm doing is I'm adding SSH. Okay, I'm just adding anywhere, source type anywhere. I'm also adding one more security group. I'm adding all traffic anywhere. So you can see here, I'm adding all traffic anywhere. I'm also adding SSH from anywhere. Okay, SSH, this is open and all traffic anywhere is open. These are the two port numbers that I have opened. I'm going forward. Is showing like net remove subnet for each. Okay, for now, let me keep this. I'm not including the subnet. Okay, for now, I'm not including any subnet here. So I'm just going for the remaining things. So I have added the security group. Two ports I have opened. One is SSH port and all traffic port. So I'm going for the next things. What I'm doing is, all these are the default things, as you know, while launching the instance. I'm not launching the instance now, but I'm just making the template ready. Okay. So what kind of template? So I have advanced details in the template. Can you see here? Even in the template also, I have advanced details. I'm going to the advanced details. I would like to provide some script here. So the script that I would like to provide here is, this is the one. Can you see here? What is happening here in this particular script? If you really understand like what is happening in this particular script, you can see I'm just updating a package called HTTPD. And I would like to print some host name. Okay, echo host name. I'm saving this echo host name to the index.html page. The same script you have seen earlier, but earlier we used to print Google one, something Google to echo Google one, Google two, like that. But for now here, I would like to print the host name. Okay, host name means it will print the IP address of the internal IP address of the particular server. So this is the script that I am providing. You know the meaning of this particular script. I'm updating the M repository, installing the HTTPD package from the M repository. Okay, going to this particular directory called HTML. I'm saving this host name inside index.html page. Okay, and I'm going to start the HTTP service. This is the script that I provided. I'm going forward and I'm launching the template. You can see, you can review here. This is the AMI. T2.medium is the server. I'm going to create a new security group. I think the name of the security group I provided, as you can see. What is the name of the security group I provided? The name of the security group I provided is my security group. Okay. My security group is the name I have provided. Two ports I have opened. I'm going to launch this one. Create launch to. It's asking just for the description. I'm just provided the description. And I'm going to create a launch template. So anywhere IPv4, all traffic anywhere IPv4. Okay. I'm just launching a template. So the very first step is we need to launch the template. I have selected the template, like what kind of instance that needs to be launched. Okay, all those things I have selected. What is the memory capacity? All those things I have selected. So just I have selected a launch template only. Let me show you here. I'm going here to the auto scaling group. I'm creating an auto scaling group. I did choose I did created a launch template. It has to show here when you refresh. It will show here what is the launch template that you have selected. My template is the one I have selected. My template is the one I have chosen. It is clearly displaying that you have chosen T2.medium. Okay, and this is the AMI. This is the key page. This is the security group. All these details it is clearly showing for now. And I'm going for next. I'm going to next. For now, we are not doing anything related to the. For now, we are not selecting anything related to this one. Anyhow, we have already selected the launch template. This is mainly to override the launch template. Okay. So I don't want to override the launch template. I want to keep the launch template. The network, it is asking availability zones. I'm selecting. These are the two availability zones. I'm selecting two availability zones. Going forward, I'm going for the next option. Nothing I'm doing. I'm just selecting. I have just created a launch template and choosing the other options, like it is asking to choose the availability zones where you are auto scaling. Okay. Yes. I think you can hear me, right? So we lost the net. I think the network is lost. That's why. So I've just chosen I think you are clear now, right? You can hear me now.
Yes, Anna.
Yes. So I just selected the VPC, availability zones, all these things. I'm going for the next. So it is asking to choose the load balancer. For this one, what we need to do, like, if you want, you can create a load balancer. Okay. Usually what we should do, right? If you want to integrate the load balancer, if you want to integrate the load balancer, you can integrate the load balancer. So if you are not using any load balancer, that is also fine. See, the load balancer is not at all mandatory. You see, all the other options are optional. Only the launch template is mandatory. Okay, these two are mandatory. Otherwise, if you want to integrate any service, if there is no load balancer, you can keep no load balancer. If you want to attach any load balancer, just click on selecting the attaching a load balancer. Okay. You can also create a new load balancer now. I'm selecting attach to a new load balancer. You can select any of the application or network, whatever the load balancer you want to create, you can create. Otherwise, we can do one thing. We can go back. We'll go for creating a load balancer. For now, I don't have any load balancer, right? You can click on selecting a load balancer. Go for classic load balancer. Create it. And just providing the name of the load balancer is my load balancer, internet facing. And for now, I'm selecting all these things. Security groups, the existing security group. I'll go for my security group for now. And I'm going ahead and creating, how to create a load balancer, right? We have seen earlier in the previous session also how to create a load balancer and all. I'm not attaching any EC2 instances here. For now, I did not attach any EC2 instances. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to my auto scaling group. This is an optional one. If we have a load balancer, we can attach to an existing load balancer. So you can see here if there is, I have created a classic load balancer. I'm choosing from classic load balancer. I've selected a load balancer. I'm slowly going down and going for the next option. See, this is an optional thing. Okay. If you have the load balancer, you can integrate the load balancer. And this is the thing that we need to mainly focus on. So for now, what I would like to show you is you need to keep the minimum desired capacity and the maximum desired capacity. I'm keeping 1 and 4 and the desired capacity as 2. So what I would like to have is I want two machines to be up and running always. I want two machines to be up and running always. And whenever the traffic increases, it has to go up to the 4 machines. Either you can keep the minimum desired as also 2. Got it, right? So what I'm doing is I'm keeping the minimum desired capacity as 2, desired capacity as 2, the maximum capacity as 4. You know the meaning of this one, right? Minimum and maximum values, right? So always two machines will be up and running. And the maximum capacity means whenever the load increases, it will go up to the 4 machines. Okay, this is the one I'm selecting. This is how I'm selecting the group size and scaling. This is the main thing while you want to enable auto scaling. Usually you can also, okay. And one more thing, the next step is we have two other options. Like if you want to have any scaling policy, you can go for scaling policy. If you don't want to put any scaling policy, you can select no scaling policies. So I suggest you to go for a scaling policy and practice. I am just keeping the scaling policy here of average CPU utilization. I'm just going for the scaling policy of a metric called average CPU utilization. Here, usually people keep 80%, 70% based on the, based on the usual, based on their requirement. Okay. You can see here one more option here, which is called as instance warm up. So usually it is like the number of seconds that it takes for newly launched instance to warm up. Okay. I'm just providing some 500 seconds. You can also keep, there is, I think, there should be minimum time and maximum time. For now, it is clearly showing. Okay. Instance warm up, usually warm up in the sense, the number of seconds that it will take for a newly launched instance. Whenever it launched a new instance. So to get the instance or otherwise, the instance will come into the active state. Usually the instance will come into the active state for some these seconds. Okay, warm up seconds. I'm just providing this as 30 seconds for now. I'm going for the next options and I'm going for creating a new next. Okay. So notifications, if you want to add any notifications, for adding the notifications and all, we need to go for a service called SNS. This is a different service actually. SNS stands for Simple Notification Service. SNS stands for, any question? SNS stands for Simple Notification Service. So if you want to add any notifications, if we will discuss about this particular service later in the further sessions. But for now, you can try to understand this is SNS stands for Simple Notification Service. Usually this is mainly for sending an emails or sending notifications to the team. Okay. So whenever it launches an instance or whenever it terminates the EC2 instances, it will send notifications to the team. So we need to create a topic or we need to add the topic. Topic is nothing but a group name. Okay. So usually we can send notifications to the group on the event times, whenever it launches the instance, new instance, whenever it terminates the instance. And if the instance is failed to launch, failed to terminate, and all the events, it will send emails or notifications to the team. I'm not configuring, we are not configuring this. I'll show you how to configure this later, okay? But for now, we are not configuring this. I'm going for the next. Tags. Tags are for the purpose of like, usually tags we use mainly to help you to search. So tags are mainly for the purpose of like for the team. Suppose if we want to search something, if we want to filter something, okay. So tags are mainly for the purpose of that thing, and I'm going to create next. You see here, I'm going to create a auto scaling. I have shown you already in the dashboard. I don't have any instances for now. I don't have any instances running. All the instances are terminated. I don't have any instances running for now. If I show you, I'm selecting this one. I don't have any instances in the North Virginia region. When I'm going to create an auto scaling group, I'm going to create an auto scaling group, and I kept the desired capacity, minimum desired capacity as 2, maximum desired capacity as 4. That's the reason why whenever we launch immediately, 2 instances will get created. I'm just creating an auto scaling group. Okay. So, you already understood like what is the desired capacity of this one. You can see here. So just now I just created an auto scaling group. Okay. So when I click on auto scaling group, immediately the desired number of machines came into the picture. You see, I have mentioned that the desired number of instances is 2. So you can see here total number of instances that are up and running is only 2. I have 2 instances up and running now. Let's wait for a few seconds to see whether both the instances are up and running. Okay. So you understood, right? So what I'm doing, I did not launch this instance manually. I did not launch these instances manually. I did not launch these instances manually. These instances were created by auto scaling. In the auto scaling, I just mentioned, let me open this. In the auto scaling, I just mentioned the desired capacity as 2. So now what I will do is I'm going to terminate one instance. Okay, let the instance fully come up and run, and we need to see the status checks as passed. Okay, it will take some time. Okay, for the instance to up and run, it will take some time. Usually, we can also verify whether the instance is up and running or by taking the public IP. And we have installed some script, right? We have provided some script inside it. You can also verify by just accessing it. It will take some time. Okay. Need to wait for some time. So, but what I'm trying to say is here I have launched because the desired number is 2, I have got 2 instances up and running. So when I delete any one of the instance now, if I delete one of the instance, okay, suppose for example, like because of any issues, one instance is deleted, automatically a new instance will come into the picture. A new instance will come and run. I have 2 instances for now. Why? Because I mentioned the desired number as 2. Okay, 2 instances are up and running now because desired number is 2. Suppose because of some issue, if one instance is failed, okay, one instance is failed, immediately the another instance will come here and run. Delete. Okay, maybe that might be the script because of some script issue. You see here, for now, I have two instances are up and running now. I would like to delete one instance from these two instances. Okay, I'm going to delete one instance. Which one I will delete? The one I'm deleting is like this one, the instance ID, which is ending with CF7. Okay, I'm going to delete this instance. When I delete the instance, immediately the new instance will come. Why? Because the desired number I have mentioned as 2. I just deleted one, wait for a few seconds. Automatically, the new instance will be created and it will up and run. So now you understood, right? What is the purpose of auto scaling? Automatically increases. When the load increases, based on, see, we have added the metric as CPU utilization here. So if you ask me the questions, then you will get the clear picture. If you have any questions, please ask me so that you will understand the purpose of auto scaling. For now, I have deleted one instance here.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
only up to 4 instances they will add. What if after 4? You just mentioned
So
only
we just
maximum 4
we have
instances,
added
right?
4 as maximum, right? We have
Yeah,
added the
only
maximum.
up to 4 instances only they will.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have added the maximum number as 4. So if the load increases, okay? If the load increases, how it
Okay.
knows, how it can know the load is increased or not? So it will understand the load based on this. If I go to the auto scaling group, you can understand here. We have, you can go to the, can you see here? We have added this one. So as required to maintain the average CPU utilization at 80. What is the target
Okay.
tracking policy? So if the CPU utilization is 80, suppose for any instance, if one instance is there, and if that instance CPU utilization is 80%, it will add the instance as required. You got it? It is going to
Yeah.
add the instance. If you want to add any policies, if you want to add any one more policy, like you can add, we can add one more policy. Okay. So like that, we
Okay.
to add the policies based on the auto scaling. So for now, we just mentioned the CPU. We just mentioned that the policy that we have added is this one. If the CPU utilization of any instance is 80%, then it will add the instance. Usually when it will go, CPU utilization will go if more number of users, try to access our machine, right? If more number of users try to access our machine, that time only the CPU utilization will goes high. Okay. So for now, I would like to show you actually whether the auto scaling is working fine or not. You can see here, earlier we have deleted one machine and you see for now how many are up and running. Earlier I deleted one, right? So if I deleted one, how many should you, it should be like, we should have only one instance for now. Earlier I deleted, we should have only one instance up and run now for now. But again, I'm able to see two instances. Even though if two instances are deleted, again the two instances will come and they run. Why? Because we mentioned that the desired number is 2. We mentioned that the desired number is 2. These two machines will always up and run. And when the load increases, the new server will come and the new server will also accept the traffic. The new server will also accept the traffic. Any questions?
No. Yeah, you already
No,
deleted
no.
in these 2 instances, right?
I deleted
So
one
what
instance
is
and
this
it came.
initializing?
It is initial. It will take
Yeah,
some
another instance all.
whenever
Okay.
I'm just refreshing it. Now it is showing 2 by 2 checks passed. So usually whenever we
Okay.
delete the instance and usually the instance will take some time for processing the checks and all. Okay. For validating the checks and all. Immediately won't come actually. So you need to wait for some time to see whether the machine is healthy or not. Got it?
Yes. Yes.
So usually in these servers, we will install some application. As I told you, right? We will install some script. So we are not able to access this because of some because maybe the script issue or something else. You can go for the example script that I have provided and you can verify. But usually this is how actually we can see the servers, desired servers, and whenever the load increases, new servers will be added and they will also accept the requests. So this is auto scaling actually. So in the auto scaling, like what we need to understand is if we are creating an auto scaling group, make sure that you have a launch template. Okay, we should have the launch template. In the launch template, we will specify what kind of EC2 machine you require. And then if we want, we can integrate the load balancer. If load balancer is not, if you are not using load balancer, no need to use the load balancer. Load balancer is optional. If the application requires load balancer, they can go for load balancer. Otherwise, they only simply want to enable auto scaling further. Yes, we can also enable auto scaling group. Okay. So this is how actually we enable auto scaling. And still, usually while enabling, okay. So while enabling the auto scaling, usually we need to understand some kind of things like VPC, subnets, all these options we need to provide. So to give some clarity on VPC, all these things, let's start with VPC. Why? Because without VPC, we cannot go for understanding all the remaining things. That's the reason why let's understand VPC first. For now, we'll start with VPC and then we will go for the other things. Okay. So let's understand. This is a new service. Okay. We're talking about a new service. And for your clarification, like what are all the services that we have discussed so far? What are all the services that we have discussed so far is we understood what is EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. And we also understood about S3 service. Full form of S3, simple storage service.
Service.
You know the purpose of
I-
each and everyone, right? EC2 is mainly for configuring the servers. S3 is the storage one, storage service. And IAM service also. We also came across IAM. IAM stands IAM stands for what?
Identity access management.
Identity and access management. These are the three services we have seen so far. Later, we understood what is load balancer. We understood what is load balancer, how to configure a load balancer, and then we understood what is auto scaling. Auto scaling is mainly for automatically increasing or decreasing the instances when the load increases. Fine, we are now talking about a new service called VPC. Let's understand what is a VPC, okay? So to understand this VPC, you need to have some basic idea of this Amazon cloud. I'm just going to take Paint to explain you what is this VPC. Try to understand we have an Amazon cloud, okay? We have an Amazon cloud, AWS. We have AWS cloud. As I told you, we have regions inside the AWS cloud. We have regions inside the AWS cloud. You know, what are the regions? Where regions are nothing but data centers. If I'm talking about region is nothing but what? Data center. This is region. Assume you can assume that the region is US East 1. You can assume that this region is AP South 1. These are the regions, right? Mumbai, US East 1. And we have some other regions like, assume that, okay? Just assume that we have some other regions like US West, US, like this. Consider we have different regions and I have shown you like totally, how many regions we have totally today, as of today? If you want to know like how many regions we have as of today, you can go for
38.
AWS Global Infrastructure Map. You can go for AWS Global Infrastructure. How many regions we have launched
34.
for AWS has launched so far?
34.
You can see here. AWS has launched 34 regions so far. And how many availability zones are there? 108 so far. And you know, in India, how many data centers we have for AWS? In India, we have data centers in Mumbai as well as Hyderabad. Okay. We have AWS data centers in India. Okay, in two locations. One is Mumbai, the other one is Hyderabad. Okay, so let's understand. This is how actually the data centers will be. Now we're trying to understand what is VPC. We have AWS cloud. Inside the AWS cloud, we have regions. And you all know inside each and every region, we have availability zones. We have availability zones. Assume that this is an availability zone. This is another availability zone. AP South 1A, AP South 1B, AP South 1C. These are the three availability zones I have. If you are able to understand, these are the three availability zones I have. AP South 1A, AP South 1B, AP South 1C. These are the availability zones I have. Okay. So inside the availability zone, usually we are going to take some partitions. If I'm working on some project, and for my project, I always wanted all my servers to be at one place. All my servers, I want to have all my servers at one place in a single partition. So try to understand, like we have AWS cloud. Inside AWS cloud, we have regions. Inside the regions, we have availability zones. Inside availability zones, we are going to have some partitions. We are going to have some partitions inside the availability zones, which are called as VPCs. We can create VPCs. We can create VPC inside the availability zone. Try to understand where we are going to create VPC. Where we will be creating our VPCs. VPC stands for what? Virtual Private Cloud. What is VPC? Virtual Private Cloud. It is a partition. VPC is nothing but a partition inside the availability zone. If I want to create all my servers at AP South 1A availability zone, okay, then there also I can create VPC. Again, inside the VPC, we will be having some partitions. Inside the VPC, we will be having some partitions like subnets. VPC is a partition inside the availability zone. Then what is subnet? Subnet is a partition inside the VPC. Can you understand now what is VPC? VPC is a partition. Okay, VPC is a partition inside availability zone. What is subnet? Subnet is a partition inside the VPC again. You can now understand where the VPC is, where the availability zone is. Okay. So this is how you need to assume what is a VPC. VPC is nothing but a partition inside the availability zone. So why we need to go for this VPC concept? So it is always important to have your private network. It is always important to have your private network when you are when you are working on some project. It is always important to have your servers on the private network for the security reasons. We cannot create our servers randomly. We cannot create our servers randomly on different regions, on different availability zones. We always wanted to have a private network. That's the reason why we will choose one region. Inside the region, we will be having availability zones. Inside the availability zone, usually we will create a VPC. Inside VPC, VPC is nothing but our private network. Inside the VPC, we can create again partitions. We can create partitions inside the VPC, which are called subnets. Okay, you understood, right? Inside the VPC, we have again partitions. They are called subnets. Okay, let me take another. So consider this is a VPC. Okay, this is the VPC. You know where this VPC is. This VPC is inside the availability zone. This is the VPC. We are going to create a subnets again inside the VPC. Try to understand. We are going to create different subnets inside the VPC. I'll tell you the reason why we are going to have different subnets inside the VPC. Okay. So maybe if this is the VPC, we will be creating a public subnet or private subnet. We'll be creating some partitions inside the VPC, which is called as public subnets. We can create public subnets as well as we can also create private subnets. We'll create public subnets as well as private subnets inside the VPC. Okay, before we understand all these things, let's understand how we are going to create a VPC. For creating a VPC, okay, for creating a VPC, you need to provide the IP address range. For creating VPC, you need to provide the IP address range. What is this IP address range? Let me show you. What is this IP address range? How we are going to create a VPC? Let me take one example and show you. Usually what happens is, for example, if you are creating a VPC, the very important thing that we'll ask is IP address range. Meaning, we need to reserve the IP addresses. Suppose if your project requires some 20 servers. If your project requires some 20 servers, if you are going to launch some 20 servers, and it's always recommended to launch. One second. Sorry. So let's assume that you are going to create some 20 servers. So if you are creating a 20 servers, usually what people will do is like they will create their own VPC. They'll create one VPC and they will be creating all the 20 servers inside the VPC. But to create all these 20 servers, we need to reserve the IP addresses. We need to reserve the IP addresses of all these 20 servers. We need to reserve the private IP addresses of all these 20 servers. You will understand why we need to reserve the IP addresses. Okay. For example, try to understand. So consider the IP address of the first server will be this one, 10.000. The IP address of the second server will be something like 10.001. The IP address, third machine's IP address will be this one. Do you know if you are creating 20 servers, usually we always wanted the IP address of our servers will be like in some series. My first server IP address will be this one. My second server IP address will be this one. Third server IP address will be this one. So that I can organize all my servers effectively. Okay. I can organize all my servers very in an efficient way. So if I would like to launch some 20 server, this is how actually I would like to want all my IP addresses of the servers. So that's the reason why, suppose if we have an estimation of like we are going to create some 50 servers in the VPC, usually what we need to do is we need to provide the IP address range. We need to provide the IP address range for all the, we need to select the IP address range for all the 50 servers. So how we need to provide the IP address range? This is the starting IP address. I want 50 servers in the VPC. And for the 50 servers, my IP address range is the starting IP address. This is the starting IP address, meaning this will be my first server's IP address. And the next IP addresses will be going and so on, like 10.001, 002, 003. Okay, that's how the IP addresses will be. And you need to provide the range here. The maximum range that we need to provide is 32. If I am providing 32, only one IP address will be reserved. If this is the range I am providing, okay? If this is the range I am providing, only one IP will be provided. Only one IP will be reserved. That is the meaning of this IP address. Suppose if you want two IPs, if you want two IP address, you need to go for 31. How many IP addresses you require? Suppose if you want only one IP, this is how you need to provide /32 you need to provide. Why? Because I'll tell you the reason, okay, why we need to provide 32. But try to understand, if you provide 32, only one IP will be reserved. If it is 30, If it is 31, 2 IPs will be reserved. 2 IPs will be reserved. And if it is 30, this is the range, 4 IPs will be reserved. So the logic here is try to understand usually. This is how actually, okay, we in our private cloud, in our private partition, okay, in our VPC, we can create a maximum of 65,536 machines. This is the maximum of, okay, this is the maximum. What is the maximum? Well, 2 power 16. This is how this is the number where we can create. So the value that you need to provide is, the maximum value that you can provide is 16. The maximum value that you can provide is 16. You see, if I'm not confusing, let me come up, first let me come up with this one. This is the IP address, starting IP address of your server. And if you are providing /32, you will get only 1 IP. If you are providing /31, usually you'll get 2 IPs. How we get 2 IPs? We always need to calculate like this, 2 to the power of 32. Okay, 2 to the power of 32 minus 31. So always take like 2 to the power of 32. 2 to the power of 32 minus 31. What is 2 to the power of 32 minus 31? What is 2 to the power of 32 minus 31? 32 minus 31? 2 to the power of 1, right? 2 to the power of 1. What is 2 to the power of 1? 2. What is 2 to the, if I'm giving 2 to the power, if I'm giving 32 here, we always subtract this value from 32. Remember, whatever the value that you are providing here, we need to subtract this value from 32. Why? Because the maximum subnet value is that the maximum range that we need to provide is 32. Whatever the value you provide, you need to subtract it from 32. So 32 minus 32, 0. 2 to the power of 0, 1 IP you will get. So 2 to the power of 32 minus 31, you will get 2 IPs. 2 to the power of 32 minus 30. 32 minus 30, 2. 2 to the power of 2, 4. You will get 4 IP addresses. Okay. So now you tell me, suppose if I want some 8 IPs, if I want 8 IP addresses, if I want to reserve 8 IP addresses, what is the range that I should provide here?
2 to the power of 32 minus 2 to the power of 29.
If I am providing 29, how you calculate? If I am providing 29, this
32
value
minus 29 is 3.
subtract
So
from,
2 to the power of 3 is 8 IPs you will get.
so if I am providing 29 here, you need to calculate like, you need to subtract this value from 32. 32 minus 29, how much? It is 3.
3. 2
Now
to
you
the power of 3.
calculate 2 to the power of
3.
You need to take the 2 to the power of 3. So if it is 2 to the power of 3, we will get 8 IP addresses. 8 IP addresses.
Yes.
Suppose if your requirement is, okay, if your requirement is 20 servers, calculate how many, what is the range that you need to provide?
2 to the power of 32 minus 22. No, 20 IPs, right?
Yes, if your requirement is 20 servers, if you want to reserve IP addresses for 20 servers, I'm going to choose the same range. I'm reducing this number here, 28. If we select here 32 minus 28, 32 minus 28 is 4. 2 to the power of 4,
16.
16. You will get 16 IP addresses. So does this range is sufficient for us to get 20 servers? No. We need 20 servers, but I am assigning the range. I am giving the range only for 16 IPs. So that's the reason why you should still decrease this number. I'm going for 27. If I give 27, 32 minus 27, we always 22 minus 27 is 5. 2 to the power 5. 2 to the power of 5 is 32. So you see here, if you want even 20 servers, you cannot you cannot reserve exactly for 20 servers. You cannot reserve IP addresses exactly for 20 servers. You need to go for the nearest range. If you want 20 servers, you cannot go for this one. You cannot go for 28. Because if you provide this range, you will get only 16 IPs. 16 IPs are not at all sufficient for creating 20 servers. So definitely you have to go with this IP range called this one, /27. /27 will give you 32 IPs. Maybe you can use you can create 20 servers and remaining IPs will be there for the future purpose. You always need to reserve some additional IPs if you are reserving. If your requirement is 20 servers, don't reserve the exact number of IPs. Don't reserve the exact number of IPs. Always reserve some additional IPs for the future purpose. Hope you got it right. Suppose if I would like to create a 50 servers. If I would like to create 50 servers, meaning I need 50 IPs. I need 50 IPs, but I will leave some additional IPs also. So calculate like this. I will leave some additional IPs for the future purpose. So what is the range that we can provide for getting this 50 IPs plus some additional IPs? So if I go for this one, if I go for this range, 26, tell me please calculate how many IP addresses we will be getting. 32 minus
64 IPs we will get.
32 minus 6 is 6. 2 to the power of 6 is 64. So for creating 50 servers, please go with the 64 IPs. Please go with this range. This will be the recommended range for your requirement. Don't go for exact. Anyhow, 50 IPs, the exact range is not there, but you have to go for the nearest range. So you know now, if I am giving like this, if this is the range I am providing, do you know how my servers will be created? What will be the first IP address in this range? 10.0.0.1.
Start with 1.
What is the second IP address I will get? This is the second IP address.
10.0.0.2.
Sorry. First IP address will be 10.0.0. Second IP address will be this one. What is the third IP address? 2 and so on. What will be the last IP address? Can you tell me what will be the last IP address?
25.
The last IP address will be 10.0.0 / usually if your requirement is 26, if you are going to get some 64 IP addresses, you will be getting some 63. 0. Why? Because we are starting with 0. What will be the last IP address? 63. Are you getting my point? So if we are starting with 0, that's the reason why the last IP address will be 10.0.0.63. So for now, if I want some 256 IPs, try to understand. If I want some 256 IPs, calculate how many, what is the range that I should provide? If I am providing the range of 10.0.0/25, can someone calculate /25? If I'm giving the range of /25, how
128 you will get. 128. So you can
how
go
you
with
are
24.
how you are calculating? 32 minus 25. 32 is the value you should take. 32
7 2
is
to
the
the power
value
of
you should
7 is
take, and you should
128.
subtract 32 minus 25, the range value you are providing. 32 minus 25 is 7. 2 to the power of 7 is 128. We will get 128, but I need 256. So if you
You
need
can go with 24.
you need to go for 24. 32 minus 24 is 8. You can see now what is the 2 to the power of 8. 2 to the power of 8 is 256. 2 to the power of 8 is 256. 2 to the power of 8 is 256. You know what is the starting IP address if I'm giving this range? If I'm giving this particular range, what will be the starting IP address? 0. Next will be 1. Next will be 2. What will be the last IP address in this case? What will be the last IP address in this case?
255.
5. Suppose if I need some additional IPs, not 256. If I need some additional IPs, I need some 512. I'm going for 23. I'm going for 23. 32 minus 23 is 9. 2 to the power of 9 is 512. You can see in the Google also. What is 2 to the power of 9? Is it 512? Yes. So if it is 512, okay, if I am going to get some 512 IP addresses, the starting IP will be like this. And up to 255, I will get like this. After 255, I won't get. What is the next IP after 255? Can anyone expect what will be the next IP address after 255? I won't get 256. I will be getting 10.0.1.0. The next series will start like this. Up to once it is ended with 255, okay, it starts with 0, any value, okay. If it is, if this is the value, it starts from 0. It will end with what? 255. Once we are done with 255, then again here it will start 1 point, understood, right? 1.0. What will be the next IP address? Are you getting how actually I'm going to get the IP addresses? 1.0, 1.1. The next one is 1.2. So and so on. How many IP addresses I will get? What is the last number? What will be the last number? 1.250. Are you getting? 1.0 to 1.255. This IP address is different. This range is different. You see 10.0.0255. This is 10.0.1.255. This is how actually we are reserving the IP addresses. Okay. Any questions here and understanding the basic idea of VPC range? This is just a basic thing that we need to understand for creating a VPC. If you are confusing, we'll start with the basic things. Okay. Don't worry about. Okay. Don't think too much. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to create a VPC, definitely you need to provide some IP address range. I'm just showing you some example IP address ranges. Don't think that it always should start with 10 only. Okay, you can start like this 20.0.0.0, okay, slash 20.0.0 slash 32. If I am going to give this particular range, how many IP addresses I will get? Can anyone tell me? How many IP addresses I will get for my VPC? If it is 30, only one IP you will get. Remember, if it is 32, only one IP you will get. Why? Because we need to subtract this value from 32. 32 minus 32 is equal to 0. 2 to the power of 0 is 1. Hope you understood how we need to select the range of a VPC. Okay, if you need some additional IPs, you need to decrease this number. If you are giving 31, you will get 2 IPs. Can anyone tell me what is the one IP I will get for this one? What is the one IP I will get? This is the only IP I will get.
20.0.0.
This is the only IP I will get for this range. Now, for this range 31, I will get 2 IPs. Can anyone tell me what are the 2 IPs I will get for this? One IP.
20.0.0 and
The other IP
0.1 is
0.1. These are the 2 IPs. These are the 2 IPs I will get for this particular range. If the range is different, if I am going to give the range of 30, 2 to the power of 32 minus 30 is 2 square. 2 square is 4 IP addresses. 4 in the sense I'll get 0, 1, 2, and 3. This is how these many IP addresses I will get. 4 IP addresses I will get. So now you can calculate. You need to suggest your team. You need to ask the team like how many servers are we going to launch? If you are going to launch some 10 servers, if we need to launch some 10 servers, you calculate based on, don't suggest the exact range. Please don't suggest the exact range. Okay, it's always recommended to leave some additional IPs. It's always recommended to reserve some additional IPs. Okay, suppose if your team requires 16 servers, they are going to plan some 16 servers. What is the range that you suggest for them? Can anyone tell me? What is the range that you suggest for them?
28.
If you keep 28, okay, if you keep 28, what is 32 minus 28? It is 4. 2 to the power
2
of
to the
4.
power of 4.
You should not
16.
suggest this one. Why? Because what I am saying, if your team requires 16 servers, don't exactly reserve the IP addresses. I will tell you the reason. Why? Because you see, if you are going to get some 16 IPs here, okay, if you are going to get the 16 IPs here with this range, you cannot use all the 16 IPs. You cannot use all the 16 IPs. Okay. So some IP addresses are already reserved by the AW. You cannot use few IPs. We will discuss later what are all the IPs that you cannot use. That's the reason why don't suggest the exact number. If your team requires 16, okay, ask them to go with 27. What is 27? 32 minus 27 is
2 to the power of 5.
5. 2 to the power of 5 is 32.
64.
It doesn't mean that we are not asking them to launch 32 servers. We are just reserving 32 IPs. They might go for creating only 16 servers. We have 32 IPs. Okay, if they want to create 16 servers, don't suggest them the exact number. That's not the right approach. Always suggest them to take the higher value. Okay, ask them to take 32 IPs for creating 16 servers. That is based on the requirement. Okay. Okay, fine. So hope you understood till here. We'll continue from here in the tomorrow session. Any questions you have, we can discuss now.